What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Nintendo held their Spring Indie Direct today, and I gotta be honest, I was watching through this thing with my kids while we were getting ready for school this morning, and I was anything but entertained. It was boring, so bad to the point that my son picked up his iPad and started playing Roblox because nothing really stood out to him as interesting. And I might be sounding a bit harsh on it, but ultimately I came away from this thing as, yeah, I mean, it's indie games. It's a bunch of trailers mashed together and with the Nintendo flavor sprinkled on them. It's not really much to get excited about until the end when they started talking about SteamWorld Heist 2, and that made it all worthwhile. JT. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down the most interesting titles debuting in this Indie Direct. As far as this video, I want to go through some of the things that stuck out to me. I'm not going to be kicking a gift horse in the mouth. I mean, these are video games. I enjoy playing video games, and any time that Nintendo or anyone else is going out of their way to introduce new video games to me, I'll give them my attention. They kicked it off talking about Little Kitty, Big City, and it was a reveal trailer for this game that's coming out on May 9th, and I mean, it looked basic, fun, really childish. I guess the target audience and demographic for this kind of game was maybe a younger person or even girls that really are into cats. It didn't really strike me as something that any real gamers would care about, but maybe my daughter would be interested in it. It looked like a fun romp through the city if, I don't know, you're into that kind of thing, which was kind of surprising that they'd start the show off with that. You think they'd go with more of a banger or something to get people really hyped about with it, and it just kind of fell flat. At least to me it did. Then they started talking about an Atari game from way forward, Yar's Revenge quasi-sequel? I don't know. I got excited when I saw Yar's. I was like, oh man, I love Yar's Revenge. That's like one of my favorite Atari 2600 games ever made. I'm all ears right now. And then I started watching it and I'm just like, the hell is this? I guess it's kind of like a Metroid Zero Mission style graphic game and a Metroidvania. Nothing really much to do with Yars. I mean, I guess they showed some of the Yars in the mini games of the game, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the art style that they went with it, but I'm still intrigued enough to check it out and hopefully pleasantly surprised with it. Initial impressions were, nah, this ain't it, brah. And I like way forward games typically, but I don't know. We'll see what this one has to offer when I can actually play it. Yars Rising is scheduled to be coming out later this year, so keep an eye on that one. Then they went to talk about a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, or at least what I thought would be a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, which ended up just being a port of an iOS Apple Arcade game. And sure, I mean, it looks entertaining enough, fun enough, but it's a little too basic to dig my teeth into. Coming from someone who is a big time fan of TMNT, this game just wasn't really doing it for me. But for those interested in it, this roguelike TMNT titled Splintered Fate is coming from Apple Arcade to Nintendo Switch, slated for a late July release 2024, and the game allows players to dive back into action-packed world of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, promising hours of fun and challenging gameplay. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're looking for a beat-em-up to pass time, this one could fill that gap, but ultimately it looked a little too basic for my taste. Another game that stuck out to me that might be somewhat interesting was Helder Pinto Europa, which, I gotta be honest, I really enjoyed the pastel painting style of the game, and the demo is gonna be available today for that game. I don't feel like they did a great job displaying what the gameplay actually is about, what the point of the game is, but it looked interesting enough. It looked like a lot of passion and heart went into making this game. It's one that I'll probably check out, and I'd like to see how good it actually is. Another game that stood out to me as one that was potentially intriguing was Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. This is a game from the indie studio Simogo. Their latest project is a surreal adventure game set to launch on May 16th on both Switch and Steam. It is expected to offer something interesting, at least from the trailer that I watched in this indie direct. So that's one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on as well. They also talked about some other titles that seemed a little bit more indie focused and styled in their retro graphics. One of them being Cat Quest 3, which, I mean, I haven't played the first Cat Quest and Cat Quest 2 games. I know a lot of people have enjoyed those, but I haven't played the first two, so I'm probably not going to get around to the third one until I get around to the first one of those. But for those who are interested in it, Cat Quest 3 will be coming to Nintendo Switch. And on top of that, there was another game that looked mildly interesting to me, if not a bit too chaotic, and that was Antoine Blast. It looks to be like a sped up version of some sort of Wario platformer, almost like Sonic the Hedgehog style graphics. Antoine Blast is destruction mayhem, if a bit convoluted with everything that's going on all at once. Demo is available today as well on the Switch eShop. It's one of those games that I definitely want to try out because it looks fun. But while I was watching the trailer in this indie direct, it felt a little bit too chaotic and almost like too much was going on at once to even realize how to figure out what was even happening. But maybe that was just because the video trailer didn't do a good job translating exactly how it feels while you're playing the game. So again, one of the games that I'd like to try out personally and see if it's better than what the video showed. And finally, the savior to the indie direct was SteamWorld Heist 2, a sequel to one of my all-time favorite indie games ever made. And for those of you who have been around the channel since the start, if you look way back at the beginning, I do have a review of the original SteamWorld. I actually watched it this morning because it's been so long since I looked at it. And yeah, it's a bit cringy, but at the same time, it was well enough done, if a little bit more on the boring side. I'd like to think I got better at YouTube since that video, but still a good video to check out. I'll put it above me if you haven't seen it yet. As far as SteamWorld Heist 2 is considered, this is a sequel to the beloved steampunk pirate strategy game from Image and Form. We can all look forward to a more tactical hat-shooting action game as SteamWorld Heist 2 launches on the Switch alongside its release on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox on August 8th of this year. The sequel promises to expand on its unique blend of strategy and precision shooting, and in addition to that, it looks like there's also going to be some battles on the open seas. This is a new introduction to the series. This was not in the original game, and to be honest, I wasn't sold on it while watching it, but again, I'm going to give Image and Form all the credit, and I'll play it and hopefully enjoy it because honestly, they've never really let me down with their games. And that was the Nintendo Indie Spring Direct for 2024. It was a handful of alright games that look interesting enough. I don't know if it necessarily justified the Nintendo Direct or Nindie Direct title for it, but hey, it's a way for everyone to go look at these games together in one place and see what interests them. And I came away from it thinking there's a few games that looked interesting enough. Games that I necessarily would not have cared about if they just dropped a trailer randomly on Twitter. So I guess ultimately the purpose was fulfilled with this Nindie Direct, and it wasn't all for naught, if not saved at the end with Image and Form's SteamWorld Heist 2. There was no Hollowknight Silksong. There was no talk about that. Don your clown mask on. I was actually looking forward to something. Some sort of, hey, we don't have any details to share with you, but we would like to tell you that we're still working hard on this game, and we know you guys are excited about it, and just keep hanging on a little bit longer. The fact that they haven't said anything about that concerns me that this game is still a very, very long way away. I hope I'm wrong about that one though. As Nintendo began the indie world, the indie direct, whatever you want to call it, I felt like it was useless, worthless, my kids were losing interest in it, but the more I watched it, the more I realized that there are things for everyone here, and even though a specific title may not appeal directly to me, I can definitely see an audience for these games, and there is something special to having these events. So, at the end of the day, I was happy that SteamWorld Heist 2 got announced. I was sad that Hollowknight Silksong still is not updated, but all in all, it was a pretty decent showing. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Check out SmashJT.com for the full breakdown of all these games. Let me know which one stood out for you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
Smash JT. Smash JT. Smash JT.